Hey guys, I'm Tim with Original Strength, and recently I was asked if I had any tips to help with valgus collapse. And valgus collapse is when your knees and or your ankles collapse to the inside when you squat. Some people's ankles collapse or the knee tracks in when they squat, and that's typically called valgus collapse. So I do have some tips, and you can do all of them or some of them. Take what you like, leave what you don't. So valgus collapse, though, sometimes is the ankle is, it doesn't really have dorsiflexion, so it's looking for the path of least resistance when it comes to when the body's trying to squat, so it collapses to the inside and everything just kind of caves in. So here are some ankle things that I like that may be pretty helpful. One is, I'm really a fan of the super joints knee movement that Pavel Tsatsouline talks about in super joints. And that's where you're working the knees in circles here, but if you look at the ankles, this really also helps get the ankles moving. So I don't know if you can, depending on what angle you're looking at, but it starts to get mobility in the ankles. So the ankles are working a lot in a very similar fashion as the knees. So that encourages ankle mobility too. It's not just for the knees. So I like that. Another thing I like is because the ankle might lack dorsiflexion, and really it might not be able to go in dorsiflexion, or there may be a block on the outside. I like rocking with the heel drop to the outside to open the outside of the ankle and putting the knees out. So I'm working on the pattern of the knees going out instead of collapsing in, but I'm also trying to open the outside of the ankle to get mobility there in hopes that that would encourage ankle mobility when I'm going into a squat. And I'm actually closing down the part of the ankle that likes to collapse in. By opening this side, I'm closing this side. So rocking with the heels out and the knees out, to me, is a fantastic way to try to naturally reset that pattern, the valgus pattern, to where the knees track normal and the ankles move normally, all in line with one another, where everything plays and dances well together. I love this movement for so many things, and rocking's like the catch-all, right? It's good for shoulders, hips, ankles, but it would be good for the pattern of squatting and correcting imbalances or compensations in the pattern of squatting. So I love doing this for that reason. Another thing you can try, like if say you enjoy squatting and you want to squat and you just don't have that dorsiflexion in your ankle to keep your ankle from collapsing in, sometimes an easy fix is to put a board underneath your heels, and that takes the need for dorsiflexion away, which takes the need for the ankle to try to create space and drop to the inside and collapse in, which allows your knees to track over your toes. Is that a fix? You know what? Maybe, maybe not. And does it really matter if you're actually squatting in a good pattern with your heels elevated? I don't think it actually matters too terribly much, because Olympic weightlifters do it all the time with those elevated heels, and they seem to be healthy and go about their lives okay. So I don't know that everyone has to squat like this with their heels completely on the floor. So if you do like dorsiflexion and you just want a good squat pattern, this is honestly an easy fix, and it helps the knees track over the toes. And you can always work your squat here and then start to decrease the lift. You know, so maybe you spend a month here and then you try to make the lift a little bit shorter, and everything's tracking well there. And then you try to make it a little bit shorter until you are flat on the ground. I do think you can train the pattern and slowly start to take away the lift and end up with a good pattern. The other thing you can do, I got two more things. This is probably one of my longer videos. You're welcome. Is to try to encourage the pattern. And so you can stand narrow and just try to figure out if you can squat while you push the knees out. You don't have to deep squat, but you can just I'm trying to get mobility here by pushing the knees out. And yes, you could, not everybody's bow-legged like me, but if you could get the knees to track to the outside, that could be more of a challenge. You may need to hold on to something like a stick or a stick where you're just trying to really get the knees to start tracking to the outside. And then lastly, you can always treat your knees like teenagers and tell them what you want them to do so that they will do the exact opposite thing. So what I mean is, we can feed the mistake, or we can use resistance to tell our knees we want them to go in, and then they're going to resist that and do the opposite by pushing out. This actually works pretty well because we're giving feedback for the knees to collapse, and the brain's like, no, I don't want to do that, I want to push out. And then all of a sudden you create space in your hips, your knees track over your feet, and you can drop into a squat. That also may work, working your squats under resistance. And you can put the band over your knees, or you may want to put it right under your knees to really, and again, the band's trying to push your knees in, and your body says, oh, no, wait, I got this. So you treat them like teenagers. You try to force one thing, and they'll do the exact opposite. Anyway, that's a lot, I know, but that's something to play with for valgus collapse. Give that a shot, those a shot, one of those a shot, all of those a shot. Let me know what you think. I'm Tim with Original Strength, and we'll see you next time.
To learn more, consider attending an Original Strength workshop. Visit originalstrength.net. To train with Tim, go to osi-online.com.